My intention is just to share some of the ideas I've been rattling with about how to deliver integrated reporting. My concern is this, or my observation is this, that there are plenty of frameworks that tell us what to measure, but it's not clear about how to report that back. And more importantly, how to report it back in a way that's simple and that has a graphic or metaphor that everyone will see and understand. Now, I'm not the first to tackle this. There's been a long journey of people working on this. Where we began is the idea of the triple bottom line: company, environment, and society. And to begin with, we tried to draw it as a Venn diagram with these three overlapping circles. But we recognized that didn't really tell the story correctly, because the company, in fact, lives inside society, and society lives inside of the environment. And so a better way is to show them as nested circles. And in fact, there's some flows that happen back and forth. The environment contributes things to the company, such as physical resources. And the company spits out stuff, good stuff like products and new trees and stuff, and bad stuff like waste that pollute both society and the environment. And of course, there's the overall just operational presence impact on the environment. So these frameworks exist, and lots of people have been working with them and developing them and maturing them. Recently, a third or fourth element, rather, has begun to be prevalent, and that is being conscious of the individual. Because, of course, the individual is both a member of society and a member of the company. Now, in this context, we're focused on measuring the company's integrated reporting. So we don't need to worry about the individual's impact on society or the environment. What we're worried about is the individual's impact on the company, and in fact the company's impact on the individual. So there are other flows in this system, but if we're looking at integrated reporting for the company, this kind of captures the flows and the buckets of information we want to capture. So in theory, we should have metrics about what the company is doing to support individuals and what the individuals are doing to support the company. We should have metrics about the good things that the company is contributing to society and the environment, and also the bad things that the company is impacting on society and the environment, and vice versa. What are the good things that the environment is contributing to the company, or what are the good things that society is contributing to the company? Or rather, organization, because this could be a not-for-profit, this could be a government. So the issue is, this is kind of a rough graphic to use, and if we're trying to put it on computer screens, circles is kind of a problem. So I tried mapping it out as boxes. So we got the organization, and of course inside the organization is the individual, and I'm worried about the flows from the individual to the company and from the company or organization to the individual. Now, the organization itself lives in society, and so I'm worried about how society impacts the organization and how the organization impacts society. Finally, society and the organization live inside the environment. And guess what? I'm worried about how the environment impacts the organization and how the organization impacts society. So we could use this as a graphical metaphor, and in fact drop icons here for performance of how we're doing. And think of a divided line in the middle. What are the positive things the organization is doing for the environment, and what are the negative things the organization is doing? So we could use this as a backdrop to lay on icons about performance, but you can see it's becoming a bit of eye candy and a bit confusing. So I went back to the circle model and looked at it this way, thinking, the company is what we're looking at, and the company has impacts on society. So what if we put society on the left and we put the environment over here on the right? And then we could just use arrows back and forth to show the impact of company on society and environment. So my thinking was this. We started off with the circle model. We tried a bunch of rectangles. We tried nested rectangles. And eventually we came to the idea of society, company, and the environment, the triple bottom line. And then I'll show you how we ended up with subcategories. The most important thing is, where we had the flows before by these arrows, we're going to also have the flows by arrows. What are we doing in society that contributes to the company, and what are you doing for the company that impacts society. So this is what we've ended up calling the sustainability strategy map. So let's talk about that. I'm going to use the example of Nike. So again, triple bottom line: society, organization, and the environment. Now, a lot of work has been done, of course, on how we measure organizations, the accounting institutes, and so forth. So the work we did at Harvard that resulted in the balanced scorecard said to measure organization performance, there are sort of 4 what we call perspectives. Overall, in the for-profit sector, our job is to achieve financial success. To do that, we have to make our customers happy. To make our customers happy, we need the right internal processes. To the right internal processes, we need the right people. There's more to it than people, but for this model, we'll just use people. So what we've done is put the triple bottom line: society, organization, environment, and then added a little bit more detail here. So this is where we've captured the individual that we saw on that circle diagram that I was showing you earlier. Now, just to be clear, if we're dealing in the not-for-profit area, we merely take this financial perspective and move it all the way to the bottom, and everything else moves up a level. So in for-profits, their overall goal is financial success. In not-for-profits, it's customer or stakeholder success. The framework works. So if we use Nike strategy, and I'm just going to harvest their existing corporate strategy, which is about sustainable innovation, and it talks about sustainability is about what they're working against, and there's a whole bunch of initiatives. So I haven't worked for them, but this is how I'd extrapolate it. I would take those strategy documents, and it talks about things like doubling our business with half the impact. Well, that's a financial objective, doubling our business. It talks about products that do no harm. Well, that's, environment back to people, and operations do no harm. It talks about minimizing our environmental footprint. And again, I'm not making this up. This is from their own strategy document, and I could continue. There's very clear objectives about sustainable innovation, about transforming manufacturing, about positive impacts in the communities that we're in, accelerating global change, business is conducted ethically. And if I begin digging into their strategy, it also has elements about typical corporate objectives like own the market, products that enhance performance, enable a digital future, broad selection, and so forth. Then we add in the cause and effect diagram, the arrows we talked about before. So how do these things impact each other? And what we should be able to do is portray how what we do in the organization influences overall performance, but also how it influences the environment and society. So this is our suggestion of how we represent the integrated reporting. And then, of course, what we do is we put in performance indicators both on the objectives and the arrows. And if you want to get further, we could aggregate them by perspective. So this is my initial thinking about how we do integrated reporting. Again, the beginning of the conversation.